This episode of RPMMORadio is brought to you by all our amazing and generous Patreon donors. Visit us at patreon.com/RPMMORadio to help support the show. It is also brought to you by...
Well, howdy, folks. This is Sid from Sid's Inflatable Homes and Furnishings. Did that levee break again? Did the river crest its flood stages for the third time this year? Did Cletus overrun the toilet again? Well, come on down to Sid's Inflatable Homes and Furnishings. We have a wide selections of homes and furnishings to choose from. We got 1-story, 2-story, even 3-story houses. Heck, we even give away a free emergency slide system for any all multi-story houses and kitchen parties, really. While your neighbors are worrying as them there floodwaters is rising, you'll be sitting pretty on your inflatable couch in your inflatable home while you float down the street in style. And when the floods recede, just contact your local post office and have your address changed. It's simple as that. You live where you land. Where was I? Oh yeah, and if you want to move cross country, just deflate your home and pack it in the car or your, moped. It's simple and easy. So come on down to Sid's, where only homes that float is the only homes you'll need. Also, you get scratch and dent homes are now 50% off. Patches supplied upon request.
You're listening to RPMMORadio.
Does internet porn know you're cheating on it?
Where entertainment and roleplay in MMORPGs have little hybrid mutant babies.
Make a note of this. Dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow, dishonor on your whole family.
And now, here's your hosts, Ashen Phoenix, Civ, Jazz, Strafe, and Yunfei.
Everybody off. We need to go on a quick adventure.
Hello there, role players! Welcome to RPMMORadio. This is our 87th episode, Insecurity Blankets, because we all have blankets. I, of course, am one of your hosts, Ashen Phoenix. With me today is the crew, Jazz, Sib, Yunfei, and of course our call screener, Rahanar. And unfortunately, we don't have Strafe. He is actually visiting Grandma's house, and last I heard, he was eaten alive by a wolf. Like the
My
story.
goodness. I'm pretty sure you're making that up.
I think Great Whoop Deanie in the chat has the correct response, and that is F for respects. Everybody, let's take a moment of silence for our lost comrade, and that's long enough. So, appreciate everybody tuning in. We do this almost every weekend on Saturday, 7 Central Time, except for usually the last one, except when it's not, over at twitch.tv/RPMMORadio. Feel free to follow, subscribe, I don't know, nudes, whatever. I don't know, whatever's your thing. What? What'd you say to me?
Stalk us.
Stalk us? I mean,
our shelves are pretty low, so
yeah. I mean, it's and I also want to give a special thanks to, even though that actually had nothing whatsoever to do with the episode, which is usually what we try to do with the advertisements. It was done by Super Saiyan Panda, who's an old friend of ours. He did it as a joke,
Yes.
and we went ahead and used it anyway with his permission, or so he thinks. Yeah, it was funny. It was good enough. I always just heard that read by like the beaver from Winnie the Pooh. Wait, was it beaver? Was that a beaver or was that a
gopher?
Gopher. See, it's a good thing you're here.
That was his name.
What was his name? Beaver?
Yeah, sure.
Right. Hey, don't question me. I played through Kingdom Hearts 3.
Hey,
I know
you know
a
what?
beaver when I see one. You know, they burrow through the ground. They eat logs.
You're insane.
I saw a gopher today. I think the flood waters actually... We have been floods, and I think it washed them into the thing. It was actually very violent. I'm going to move on from that. So how did everyone have a good weekend? Good week?
Yep, for the
Yeah.
most part.
Sure.
Busy.
Wow. Enthusiasm is what we have here. That's... I mean, you can't contain... You just can't contain it. It's impossible. We tried to can it once, but it turns out it only got one can halfway full. We didn't get quite a six-pack of anything. So, well, Well, I guess that's it for the funny part of the show. So, I know at least one of them just woke up from a nap. Jazz tried to kill herself. I mean, not on purpose. It's just her natural grace tried to kill her.
Truth.
Yeah. And Yunfei, well, she's been watching tuna. See,
Tuna's
that
on
was
my
a
lap.
terrible response. It's just a laugh. You gotta, come on, guys. Interact here.
What do you want? What do you want from us?
That, right there. That was good. I like that. That was good. Do more of that.
I know what I want.
Okay.
Chocolate.
But no, more coffee.
Yeah.
I feel like Detective Pikachu right now.
I could quit anytime I want.
I know. I'm totally addicted to coffee.
Yeah. I actually, I didn't realize it came out this weekend. I really am looking forward to going see Detective Pikachu.
You would.
It looks good, and it's Ryan
It's
Reynolds.
not
It's Ryan
anything
Reynolds
to-
playing
yeah, I was
Ryan
gonna say,
Reynolds as a Pikachu.
That's why, right there.
Just
Ryan
because he's
Reynolds.
one of the 5 sexiest men alive has nothing to do with it, or the fact that I would temporarily go gay for him. That has nothing to
Really?
do with it. He's just he's a little yellow rat in this. It
So,
has nothing to do with
I
it.
would have to worry about you leaving me for Ryan Reynolds. I see
Only
what it is.
temporarily.
Okay.
Yeah, he'd be back.
Yeah, I mean, you think Ryan Reynolds is going to stick with me? No,
As
he can move on.
long as you can have Ryan Reynolds, as long as I could have Blake Lively.
Who's Blake
His
Lively?
wife.
Oh, okay.
His
I was
wife.
like, I thought it was a dude.
She is so pretty. I would go gay for that.
Yeah, she's actually.
She is
Yeah, now that you
stunningly
say
beautiful.
that, I really did think it was a dude. Blake, kind of.
Oh no.
Yeah, I forget that can be a girl's name
Yeah.
because of my what is it? My heteronormality. Is that it? Is that I say it right?
Yes, that's your head.
Yeah!
Very good. Yes.
I have no idea what I just said. Anyway, so before I buy a smart car, let's go into what we did in roleplay this week.
I don't think we are in any danger of that ever happening. But
No. I actually saw one of those in an accident once. It hit one of those little Tykes cars that a 2-year-old was in. That smart car, they died instantly. That 2-year-old was perfectly fine. Those cars are garbage.
Okay.
I actually told that story once. I saw one of those smart cars on the back of a flatbed truck, and it was a little dented up. And I was like, I came up with this entire story of how to hit one of those little Fisher Price car toys and put it on Facebook until I got to the very end. My sister says, I was in tears right up until the end, you asshole. Yeah, well, 2-year-old
I
was
saw
all right.
one of those little smart cars colored just like one of
I've
those
seen
toys.
that. That is the only I would get in. I would totally get that smart car. That's the only one.
I was like, this is the only color combination.
That's
I was
perfect.
like, I agree.
Yeah. The great thing about the smart car, and I know I'm like about 15 years behind on whenever these things came out, is that when you get in an accident with them and they can't pry you out, they can literally just drop the entire car into the grave slot, and it's 2-in-1. It's very handy. It's very handy. And all of
I
those,
really want one of those. Actually,
you drive
I like
a Prius. Of course, you would want one of those.
I know, right? I would love to have. If I ever lived in just like in the city and didn't live in the country, I would totally have one of those cars.
Yeah, that's. See, like, I would love to have like a Tesla. I think that'd be awesome. I'd love to get I would actually like to get an electric car, mostly because as I am conservative, they're actually worse for the environment, and they still use coal-fired fire plants to power the car. So I'm actually doing more damage to the environment, like a Captain Planet villain. But also, being in Oklahoma, there's like one charging station in the entire state, so there's no way in hell. Funny enough, it's at the casino just down the street.
Of course it is.
There actually is our Cherokee Hard Rock
There's
Casino.
4. There's
There
actually
four
4
electric
stations.
stations up there. I've
That's
never seen a
hilarious.
car in it. No. I seen someone actually tie their bike, like not their motorbike, but like their bicycle to it so that it wouldn't get away.
I thought you were going to say their horse.
Yeah. Oh, heteroflexibility. I guess that's is that a thing, Jazz? Jazz is my resident, knows that stuff.
Heteroflexibility is someone who is not tied to the idea of being with one particular gender, but doesn't consider themselves to be bisexual or gay or lesbian.
Oh, okay. I was like, well, isn't that bisexual?
I see,
Right.
and here I thought heteroflexibility
We used
was...
to call them bi-curious. Now they're
okay.
called heteroflexible.
Huh.
Okay.
Man, as I get older,
Neither.
things change.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
Now here I thought it was just going to be people that like to tie themselves up and were really flexible.
No, dear.
But
No.
your description was sounding really good, and then it got very boring. So, it's been a long day. So I've been.
It has been an incredibly long week. for
Yes,
me.
yeah, I know you had a rough one, but luckily, in between those periods and rough patches and slow mail service, which has nothing to do with us, but ESO's mailing system is garbage, you role played.
Yes, I did. I have role-played quite a bit in both games.
As the one that's probably role played more than all of the rest of us combined this week, I think that means you should go first.
This is my shocked face.
Winner by default, Jazz.
You know,
Yes.
the crazy thing is at times it almost sounds like you're surprised still somehow every time. Like you don't see it, you know it's coming, and yet you don't.
I'm
see
not
it coming.
surprised. I'm just a better actor than you.
She got
yeah,
my vote.
I mean, yeah,
Got my vote.
obviously. Of all of those, but Jazz, here, let me ask you this: of the two of us,
Mhm.
which one role played more this week?
Me?
Oh, there you go. Well, that settles that. All right, I guess you're up. Yeah, there you go.
So we're still working with Strafe's storyline as it's slowly kind of more maneuvering towards exposition. And my character Sial has vanished again. So that has kind of put a dent in my ESO roleplay because she's primarily the one I roleplay with when I'm not in an event. Because she's been summarily taken out of play for reasons that no one knows but Stray and I. Right now, anyway. So we had our regular guild stuff, which was a lot of fun. We had some really good guild roleplay. We had the poetry hour, which was actually not bad. We had our guild roleplay, which was fun. And then we had Telvanni night, which was very interesting. We had some new people for a change. Yay!
Oh yeah.
My more active roleplay still is in Tor. There's just more people. There's more interaction. We did have a guild event on Friday after Telvanni. We went to Tor and we had a guild event with another guild, which, as you know, is fraught with
Potholes.
potholes that could take your axle off. We've all hit that pothole that makes you apologize to your car.
I am so sorry.
I'm so sorry. I didn't see that. You're just like, wham! You feel it in your bones.
Your teeth clench, your butt puckers. Yeah. It's Oklahoma. We've got a F in roads and bridges, and I think 45% of our bridges shouldn't be used. But
Yeah, here
I
in
almost lost Ben in a pothole once.
yeah, you can swim in some of. Oh, I muted myself.
in Marshalltown, after we had that
There we go.
period of like 50 below zero,
Oh yeah.
and it snowed and iced, and then it froze, and we dropped into the deep freeze, and then it rose up and it thawed, and then it dropped us back down into the deep freeze, and then it snowed like a foot. And when the snow was cleared, when they plowed the snow off the road, they took chunks of the road with it.
Huge.
And so we went from
traps.
having fairly decent roads to, that flex crap they put in there that doesn't ever complete. Yeah. Well, it got so cold that it just came out with the plows.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'm pretty sure I knocked a hole in one of my tires.
Probably.
I hit it so hard I didn't even know it was there. So yeah, that's so much fun. Our roads are so bad. But anyway, the point being that role play with other guilds, particularly guilds you don't know, can end disastrously. And we were all bracing for impact because we knew it could go terribly.
Yeah.
But we all showed up, and the other guild showed up in equal and then greater numbers than us. And that always makes me nervous.
Yeah.
When there's more of them than there is of us.
We have the high ground. We're outnumbered. We can beat you without even rolling.
Yeah. So that always usually ends up that way. But anyway, we had a brief discussion about what they wanted from us and what we were willing to give. People often think that because she's a twee, perhaps, or because they don't think that she's a real Darth, that she'll work for them and she wants to work for them. And I've run into several guilds, even back when I was in there before, they would try to say, well, we really like your guild, so we're going to take over your guild and have your guild join our guild.
Like, yeah.
Why would I do that? That's not going to happen.
I mean, I get the whole slave girl Twi'lek thing, but that wouldn't happen there either.
Yeah, because they were like, okay, so I'm a Darth and you're a Darth, right? Right. So you're going to join our guild and then you'll be my apprentice.
Wrong.
No, it doesn't work that way.
All right, just pretend we're sitting next to each other in front of an orchestra. And have you ever heard the tale of Darth Talon? She's the hot red Twi'lek that you see on the cover of everything that would kick your ass and smile while she's doing it. Yeah, it's not something. No.
Yeah, somebody sent me, I think it was Stray, sent me this little thing that showed her licking the saber.
Yeah, that was me. Yeah.
Was it you? Yeah.
I
was like, ow.
Yeah, it was a fan film between her and Darth Maul. It was, they're two totally different time periods, but it's fan fiction. Who cares? But yeah, to show how crazy she was like licked his lightsaber as they were locked, and he's like, ugh.
Yeah. I saw his expression. That was great.
Yeah. Time
to go. Yeah. So
I don't think that's how those work.
Yeah, I don't think that's how either.
No, but it was still a great moment.
I was just like, that would be like the end of her tongue. There would be no more tongue.
Yeah, it would definitely blister.
Not the point, like you said, that they didn't exist in the same time. So that was interesting. But when I made her, I had no idea of lore. So I did not know that there was this character. I had no idea until I made her. And people to this day think that I'm mimicking her.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, honest, and I tell them, I never knew this chick existed until I made this character.
Yeah, you knew Star Wars from like the first 3 movies, and you knew of the prequels, but you're not like me or Sib, who actually
I saw the first
knows that
prequel,
stuff.
And that's it. I saw it. It annoyed me. I never saw it again.
Yeah, Phantom Menace.
Yeah, I saw that one. I thought it wasn't terrible. I liked the leading chick a lot, and I was like, I like her. What?
Oh,
Tuna's putting her 2 cents in.
Oh, no, that was Suki.
Suki, my bad.
I told her nobody asked her.
So I've struggled with that from the get-go because people don't take my character seriously or get angered by seeing my character thinking that I'm some kind of...
Either you're ripping it off.
Yeah, that I'm ripping it off, or I'm trying to be Drizzt or whatever.
Right, but you at the same time, you could do the same thing with any dark elf male with white hair and purple eyes, like Xanis was. And same thing with you. When I made Xanis, I didn't know what a Drizzt was. And I'd
never heard of it.
And I also pronounced it Drizzt de Arden or something. I didn't know what the fuck it was. So now I do. I read them and they're good books.
Before, but I had no idea. I mean, I read a lot of obscure crap.
Now,
I thought it was just...
Right. Now, if you had done this and you also named her Talon,
Right.
It would be a much harder. It'd be a lot
Yes,
harder to
but
prove.
her name is Kariv. It has nothing to
Right.
do with talent at all. So anyway, this guy came, tried to blow smoke up her ass. She kind of smirked and let him think that, he had a chance. He didn't. He kept trying to renegotiate her to 25%. And I knew what he was doing. He just wanted to make her acquiesce to his line. It wasn't that she was asking that much. 5% difference between 25 and 30 is not that big of a deal. They were drawing a line in the sand, that hill to die on, just because he wanted to be right.
Right.
And, Kariv is just as stubborn. And she was like, no.
30%. What part
So
of this
I'm going to do
getting?
this, and then you won't have to do this, and so then it can be 25%. And she was like, I see what you're saying, but no. No, it's 30%. And then he went on this long thing, and then she kind of explained to him in small, simple words why it costs so much to do this. And she's taking up all of the danger. She's laundering his money. She's doing all of this stuff. She was like, this takes a lot of time and energy and manpower, and I'm taking on all the risk. So that's why it is the cost it is. But this, and this, it's still 30%. Oh, come on. And he was like, but this, and this, and this. And he was so emphatic. And she was like, and I totally see where you're coming from. But the answer is 30%.
Calm down, art of the deal.
So they parted ways, sort of, and then they walked off.
About a whole...
ways.
That's when I showed up right before that, and I watched them walk off about a whole 50 feet.
Yeah, they stayed within hearing range, but they wanted to see what we would say.
Right.
And we just kind of were like,
well, yeah.
Whatever. And because we weren't like, those assholes, and, even when her apprentice was like, they're worthless. And she goes, they're not worthless, they're just cheap.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that are cheap. And I'm not going to do this for anything less.
I think my character had been like, be glad you're not dealing with the Huts. They want 60.
Yep. So he apparently did a internet search and found out that I was actually probably correct. And then he demanded that we would fight them PvP. I said we don't do PvP.
Yeah, like half of our characters aren't even max level, let alone
Most of them aren't. So I was like, I'll be glad to roll. And at first it kind of sounded like he didn't know what that was or wasn't willing to do it. And then he said he was. And so we went to my place, my character's place. And she said the only way that she would do it would be if no weapons, no armor, mano a mano, hand to hand.
Just old fashioned fisticuffs, you and me. Come on right now.
Yep, basically. And her place is activated for that, so all she has to do is turn it on, and there's a ring that suppresses the force. And so that's what they did. And it turns out they're not only great at roleplay fighting, but they're good sports.
Mm-hmm.
And
good.
Rolled amazingly, and it turned out to be a great time.
Yeah, Kishmis, he was the first one up to bat. Statistically, what he did was impossible. It should not have happened. Of the first 3 hits, and they were doing the whole, like, attack, defend. He won every single roll, which is, let's see, 1, 2, let's see, for him, so he hit his attacks, he hit his defends, until he got 3 hits. So what is that, like 6 in a row?
Yeah,
that he
that's
beat
6
him on?
in a row.
Yeah, that's a pretty
high
high probability.
He got one. He won 1 hit.
Yeah, okay, so...
defense. He won 1 defense where he missed.
Yeah.
But it turned out that he won because he got 3 hits, and the guy didn't make a single hit.
Didn't hit anything, yeah.
Yeah. He defended a couple times, but he didn't make a hit. So that was the end of that. So, but yeah, it was a lively fight, and they were good sports about it, and they left. So it was a good role play, and I had a good time. And that's always a positive. And then after that, another character that we've been role-playing with that's outside the guild dropped by her house to hang out. And he's a twee, which I don't know a lot of guy twees to begin with that aren't gay.
A lot of people don't play him because they're also kind of hideously ugly.
I don't think they're ugly. I like the way the twee look.
The men, the women, I have no problem with. The guys, it's something in the like the facial structure. I'm not.
Well, they
I think
because
looks
of the way they did the Leiku on the men, it makes their face look wider.
Yeah, that's it. They got super wide.
They're
faces.
lacking definition in the face. I will admit that, but the rest of them looks awesome. So
Confirmed. Every single one of them is a eunuch.
They do have a very feminine looking face. That's really hard to deal with. But anyway, she's never really known any Twi'lek male that wasn't gay. So she just assumed he was, which was funny when they first met.
I have a friend that we did that when I first met him, Otto. Yeah, for months I thought he was gay. Turns out, nah, just... I mean, to be fair, he wore a fedora, so... I mean...
What does that have to do with it?
What? I'm just really...
To be fair, he wore a fedora. What does wearing a fedora have to do with
He was also very... I mean, everybody thought he was gay when they first met him. I'm just going to be fair. Otto, I've told Otto this. He knows this. He knows this very well. He's a big, fluffy guy, pushing 3 or 4 tons. I don't know. He's just a big guy. But he's also one of those big, fun-loving guys. Like,
why are people friends with you?
I know, right? But like, if I called him right now and said, Otto, there's been an accident. I need you to help me to hide this body. He'd be over here, and he would help me hide the body. And then I would mock him for it. Right. Yeah, but I would still mock him for it, you know.
Of course you would.
Right.
Men do that for some weird reason.
It's because it's how I show him how much I care for him. All of him, of which there is much.
Okay.
So
anyway. I don't get it. I've never understood that about men at all.
I know you don't. That's what I love. No, trust me. And he gives it. Not to go with the gay thing, but he gives as good as he takes. So
they are quite the pair.
Oh my god. Anyway,
the first time I met his friend Otto, it was hilarious. He had Ashton had like one of those what is it called, a katana?
It's a katana.
Yeah. Okay. And he's like playing with it. Well, he decides he's going to run it across my back. It's a sword. He stabbed me.
Yep, he poked.
Oh my
god. That's Otto. Otto is to give you a fair assessment of the kind of personality this
12?
man has to have.
Yeah, he's pretty much 12.
His last name obviously is German. Otto, his German ancestry. His last name for his family is Skank.
Oh dear.
So, if you can imagine growing up with that last name, you can't be someone that is easily offended.
No, that's true.
He is also the person with the worst possible luck in the world. We once went on a canoe trip. Sorry to get on a rant here, we're off on a tangent, but we went on a float trip. We have a great Illinois River, great river to float down. Unless it's low, in which case you basically walk the canoe for 4 miles of the 7-mile trip. But other than that, it's a great time. There was one little stream, and Otto, by himself, because he is such a... We'll say fluffy. I think Jazz will be more appreciative of the word fluffy. He's a fluffy guy. Decided and said out loud, I'm going to take the road less traveled. The road less traveled was a little rapidy and had lots of sticks. So Otto flipped over the canoe, banged his head on something, almost knocked himself unconscious and drowned upside down. To this day, we still mock him for always taking the road less traveled. But that right there, that just bad choices, that's my buddy Otto. He always means well. He managed to somehow get somebody to love him back, and in return, I don't know how. Honestly, I've put her in the Catholic pool for sainthood. She's a lovely person. I question everything about her choice in everything, though. But that's my buddy Otto. So anyway,
good to know.
And of course, he is like a 12-year-old because Ashton's like a 12-year-old.
Well, yes.
I am not. I'm like 12 and a half.
Whatever.
Almost 13.
I'm practically a teenager.
Not even close to 13.
Practically a teenager.
Oh, no. There's no way.
You don't know me.
Oh, I know you.
So, anyway, roleplay. Okay.
Roleplay.
I have a journal to read. It's always a little hard for me to read my journals with Criv because it's a mix of video and audio, and I do a lot of description. So I'm going to kind of do a little bit of that, so it may be a little confusing, but I'll try to
just
keep
change
it...
your tone.
Yeah, I'll try to change the way it sounds. which will help. This is entry 4. An image flickers to life of Karib. I can't do that.
I didn't mean like read it as a dramatic reading in front of an audience where we all snap our fingers at the end of the poem. I'm not talking about Michael Myers from So I Married an Axe Murderer. Just a little different.
I tried.
Different
I got
cadence.
like what, 12 words in? That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Okay. All right, I got this. Serenity now.
Oh God, I sounded so bad. Okay. An image flickers to life of Karif in some black and red armor, looking faintly annoyed as the small hovering camera moves about like a fly with a broken wing. Karib's eyes follow the stuttering camera, and then a giant gloved hand reaches up and takes it. It goes dark with the sound of annoyance. Well, that doesn't work. So much for that. I'll have to give it to Arthsil to figure out. Or get out my micro tools myself. Feh. There is a sound of her sitting down in the chair, the squeak of the leather and her own armor as she sits. Busy couple of days. My benefactor sent me a holo with about 10 minutes lead time to tell me he was waiting for me in the landing bay at the fleet. I was in the middle of some fairly tense negotiations over holo with some pirates near Nar Shaddaa, which have suddenly decided to break contact. It seemed an opportune time suddenly to just break communication and say, find them later to talk. He immediately was all, no, wait, but I closed comms and ended that. Kenrick approved with a chuckle. I let them sweat a bit. I told my benefactor I would be right there, and we landed in the bay. We were in orbit so we could fly to meet those bastards, but he's more important. She sighs in the chair, makes that sound that it makes when leaning back. Kenrick was with me. It's usually Ken who's with me when we meet the Darth. He had 3 in attendance beside him, clad in the typically dark and brooding way. No faces, ever. But it was his voice and his warmth. I'm not sure how to say this because it's a robotic voice and it always has been, but there's a fondness in the way that maybe comes through in the Force, but even Kenrick says he can feel it that lets me know it's him. No one likes me that much outside my circle. It's always creeped me out a bit. He feels like he genuinely likes me. He certainly has protected me a long time. No idea who he is. Not really. I suspect it's a Dark Lord on the Council, as he has overwhelming presence. And the one time I met him on Korriban, people almost pissed themselves in his presence. Whoever he is, he has clout, and he certainly protected me through some pretty bumpy messes that I've gotten myself into. Anyway, we walked and talked. He didn't want Kenrick there either, so he stood there with the guards as we walked around the ship. He walks slow with his hands behind his back like a king. His strides are long and powerful, and even the air around him shimmers. It's overwhelming somewhat, and I spend a lot of energy keeping myself from being bowled over by it. We talked about my return. He told me how concerned he had been when my vacation turned into an absence. He told me that he'd told everyone I was on assignment and left it at that. I felt this surge of guilt because I never told him where I was going, only that I was going. He chuckled. He said he feels everything I say he feels everything I say and feel and think, I swear. He told me not to feel guilty, that we all have things we must do in life, and he knew I would return. Said my daughter was lovely, which means he probably knows everything. I said thank you. He chuckled when he sensed my alarm. He assured me that he was no threat, like matter with him. He told me to have more confidence in my abilities, that he did. I stopped walking when he said that. I could feel his smirk as he stopped and faced me. I saw Kenrick tense up and take one step in my direction, but the guards must have grunted at him because he stopped after looking to them. He stayed where he was. I said I couldn't possibly compare to his level of power. He laughed then, this strange, hissing, robotic sound, his large frame shaking. Yet, he said, yet. Urgh. I mean, really? He's always said that, but really? What the criff, man? I mean, seriously, what does he know or see about me? I really want to know. Anyway, we finished our little walkabout and talked about the current situation in Drome and Cause with the political power there and where I fit in. We talked about the sphere and who heads it and who actually leads it, and I asked if he did. He said that would mean he was a Dark Lord on the council, and he laughed. I said, so do you? He said, let's focus on building your power there first. Questions later. So, he won't answer me. And that means he either is, or he's close to it. He is pretty powerful. We made our way back, and he gifted the armor to me, complete with the helm everyone hates, but leaves room for my Leku. The last armor he gave me, I had to have the helm made. I stared at it, and then I took the helm in hand. He said, I hate that helm, but you're right. It suits you, and you've worn it so much that it's part of your signature now. I nodded, unsure what to say. It's made with sumptuous materials fused with the Force and had to cost as much as my entire ship, and that's saying something. He then gave me this exquisite wooden box with a seal on it, the same seal we both share. The mark of his protection, he calls it. He told me to open it there, and so I did, and I gasped. I couldn't help myself. It was the most beautiful double saber I have ever seen, black and red to match my outfit and over the shoulder like I prefer. He made this pleased noise, and I could feel his... He was pleased, proud. I felt his pride in me. I've never felt that before. I looked at him, and he told me to go to the ship and change, that he wanted to see what it looked like. And, well, so I did. And let me tell you, I've never worn anything like this armor. I put it on and felt closer to the Force. It was incredible. I'm not much into capes, but I looked damn good. I put the whole thing on, tucked the saber on my shoulder, put on the cape, and walked out. I heard him intake a slow breath, felt his pride. I stood before him, and then I went to one knee. I told him it was a beautiful gift, he said, and it burned into my mind. From the moment I laid eyes on you, I knew you were as vicious as you were beautiful. You look every inch of what you are and will be. I am pleased. You are exquisite. And now you have the armor to match all that you are. Wear it with pride and know that I am honored. Me. He is honored to know me. I am stunned. I just stood there after he gestured me to rise. I couldn't find the words. I'm glad my helm was on. He nodded and turned and walked out without a word. Guard fell behind him like droids, and off they went. I watched them go. Kenrick was still staring at me. I turned and looked at him. I took off my helm and smirked at him and asked him if I looked good. He just nodded, staring. I told him he was embarrassing me, and we returned to the ship, but neither of us said much. I just sat there deep in thought until he said he needed to run some errands and left. I went to my quarters and stared at myself in the mirror. I really don't see it. She rises and paces. After a long while, I left port and went to Tatooine. Kenrick met me there a few hours later. The others came, and eventually I sparred with Arthasel. It was an interesting fight, and he tricked me using some force-pushed mental trickery to get me to react to an attack he had no intention of doing. Twice. Eventually, I reacted too hard and sent him flying, and he got hurt, which I was really trying hard not to do. I don't usually fight for fun. I fight to kill. It's hard to wind myself down enough that I don't hurt who I fight. Another reason for me to fight without the Force, I'm dangerous. I always have been. And now that I've learned to let it flow rather than wielding it like a tool, that's even more true. He's okay. Nothing a little rest won't cure. And I gave him one of the Twilight girls to play with. She said it was fast but fun and that he's cute. He is cute. I'm trying hard to decide if I want him to be a friend or a bedmate. I'm still not sure. He's fun to toy with, but I don't want to hurt him. And I always end up hurting the sweet ones. I don't want to do that. Anyway, he fought well and proves that I was right. I felt the Force in him. I saw the glow in his eyes once he got mad. There's quite enough there that he will eventually make it to apprentice. In time, like me and those like me. We take a while to mature. Power like this takes time to cultivate and control, or we spin out of control. I've been there. Here's to hoping my experiences with my own foolishness will allow me to curb it in him. Later.
Mm.
And that's the end. The end.
The end. You're not gonna redo the interpretive dance at the end of that. You're not gonna.
No interpreted dance.
No
Thank you, though.
interpretive
Ass. I'll read the next one next time.
God, I had to do an interpretive dance when I was in high school as a project, and it was so awful.
I mean, can't you just go up there?
Isn't that cringy when you think about that stuff?
I was cringing even then. Like, it wasn't cool even then.
It's
it was
not
just
been cool
awful.
ever. It's like modern art. It's just bad. You know what that is? You know what? Oh, I'm not smart enough to figure out. It's a blank canvas, you jackass, and you fooled some idiot to pay $100,000 for it. It's not art. It's just I can buy that literally. It's like $15 at Hobby Lobby. I can go get a blank canvas right now. It's not hard. But yeah, interpretive dance is weird. So weird. What the hell were you doing in high school that you had to do interpretive dance?
It was part of our English class.
God,
and people
she
wonder
hated
why
you guys, didn't she?
People wonder why public education should just be stopped. You know what we should do for English? No, I don't know. Maybe I write something, or we could read something. Interpretive dance.
You know, my teacher back then, he was a little
pot?
up his own ass. So
Oh, I was just gonna assume pot.
No, he was extremely pretentious, and like that's a whole
English
horror
teacher?
story.
What? No. All right. Anybody else? I mean, I had roleplay too, but I'm still at that Hexvin. He's a bounty hunter kind of guy. I still don't have any real clue what I want to do with him, other than he's smarmy and smarmy. That's kind of it. You know, I'm still working. I'm still feeling him out. So I got nothing on that.
You need to just start. You just got to throw yourself in there. You'll do great. I think you need to bring back Xanatos. I think you really liked him.
I did, but at the same time, I finally got done with I want to get to the new content. But I did the bounty hunter quest because I never did that originally, and I liked it. Then I'm suffering through McKeb, which I'd already done once, and is still a garbage plot line. We're gonna destroy the Earth, and the McKeb. It's the core is gonna go, and the huts are taking, which the huts are completely garbage. The huts are taking over, and the planet's breaking up. It's only got a week to live. But even as the bad guys, we're gonna save it because we need this isotope. And we did it with lasers. Okay, Star Trek.
Just
Stop it.
throw some salt on them, and you'll be fine.
Right. Funny enough, actually, the very end of McKeb. You remember that scene in Terminator 2 where you drop them in the lava? Same thing with a hut, but it's a thing of salt. You actually fight over a salt plant. Yeah. But no, now that I'm done with McKeb, now I'm trying to get to the Revan, the expansion with Revan. And then after that's Knights of the Fallen. And
that took forever.
The Revan one? Or
Yeah.
See, and I like Revan, but I don't trust that they do it right. So, I mean, but then I've heard Knights of the Fallen with the two twins, and then one of them dies in the trailer, so it's not really a spoiler. And then the Robo one that you didn't think was the strongest one, he's the one that
the very last one was a lot more interesting to me than the one previous with twins. They drug that out way too goddamn long, in my opinion.
Yeah, and then there's whatever.
Some of the fights were just beyond stupid hard. But
that's fun.
But it was fun.
All I remember. The
Revan one was painful.
Yeah, one of the last fights, I think, in that one. I don't know, Ben, back me up on this. We were doing that fight together. The dude that wouldn't shut up, and he just kept going, "He is strong with the Force," like every 5 seconds.
Oh yeah, Darth. Yeah,
he just would not shut up.
Like strong in the Force.
It was literally like every 5 seconds.
Yeah,
we get it. He's strong in the Force.
But
please shut up. Yeah.
Wait, he was strong in the Force?
No, shut the hell up.
Mute. Can I mute?
I don't know why they do that. All of their bosses spout the same shit over and over.
Yeah, they give
them,
and if you're lucky, they give them 2 lines to repeat over and over again.
But they pretty much, and they usually. It took me a while when I was playing the game before to figure out that each thing that they say is a big hit or some big thing that they're about to do.
Yeah.
So I learned to start looking for the little line that shows them they're loading the hit.
Mm-hmm.
You know. and I'd look over in the corner of the screen and see, because that's where I had it sitting. I'd look and see what they were doing. Oh, and I started putting two and two together. So the minute they started it on their da 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 da, I'd start running.
Yeah, see, it'd be like if you were on. It'd be like if you were on the Death Star in Episode 4 and you saw Vader and Obi-Wan fighting, but you or another character fighting there with them, and every time you heard Vader say, "Your powers are weak, old man," you'd know that he was about to do a super attack.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you
so
heard
it's
Stormtrooper
like that,
shout
and I
to
figured,
open the
and by
blast
the
doors.
time I got to the end of the storyline, they were all doing that. So apparently they adopted it at some point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when your boss tells you to do something and it's in a memo that you need to repeat the same phrase over and over, you're gonna do what your boss tells you. That's what you're paid for.
Yep.
So yeah, I've been kind of going through that, and I'm kind of wanting to, but at the same time, I've been hurt before. I've been hurt so bad. Yeah. But there was actually some news. It was confirmed by ZeniMax's president or CEO or something like that they are. He's like, well, I may as well just say it because anybody that looks at our job site can see that we're hiring. So yes, we are in the middle of starting up a AAA MMO of an unknown title. So I doubt it's going to be an ESO sequel. Could maybe be a Fallout MMO. Finally, unlike 76, which is just sort of, it's a game of service, but not an MMO, but it's kind of tries to be, but it's not at the same time. It doesn't know what it is. It's confused. I think the term is that it's what was it? Heteroflexible. It doesn't know what kind of game it wants to be. It could be either one. But no, so apparently the ZeniMax, which who knows, they could be a brand new IP. Could be. I'm hoping for maybe a true Fallout MMO, because after, let's see, 76 got him in a lot of trouble, and then everything attached to 76, like the bags and the pay to win and all that stuff, and the horrible rum that came in a plastic bottle that was supposed to be glass. Then
wasn't there a consistently open mic or something?
There was that originally. Yeah, and then they had Elderscrolls Blades on the phone, which is basically just a cash grab garbage phone game that I got all of 15 minutes into it before I deleted it because I don't have the patience for an Elder Scrolls game. It's a pay to wait game. It's one of those things where you're building stuff and like it will take 14 hours to do, or real life cash. How about uninstall? So they really need to win. I'm kind of digging on Rage 2, which is a Bethesda game. It's coming out this Tuesday, and that's a single player only, no cash shop, no multiplayer. It's strictly single player game. So hopefully that will pull their ass out of the fire, because it's been a bad year for Bethesda and ZeniMax. But that'll be good. I'm hopeful. So anybody else have anything? Or anything playing something new? I know Sib's still 76, but she started something.
Yeah.
You know how I know that? I hear, no, from the living room.
I started Resident Evil Biohazard
7.
So I've been playing that, and it's been a lot of fun. And yeah, it is in the living room. Oh my god! Crap!
Yeah. No.
It's only because the guy is chasing me through the house, and I'm trying to get stuff.
The creepy old guy from the very beginning. Yeah.
But no, it's been a lot of fun. So I've been playing that in 76 still.
That was probably one of the
can't give up on 76.
Ones. No. Yeah, it's not a bad game. It's just a bad game. It's just a badly designed game and badly
I like this bad game.
Well, no, and so you and a lot of other people do too. It's just, but we know it's a bad game. It's just it's a fun bad game. It's kind of like watching fun bad movies. So how about
it is?
What about you and Faye? Anybody else? Anybody? Wow.
No, I haven't been role playing, but I did have the itch to get back into Final Fantasy again. The Realm Reborn, which oddly enough is a nice segue into one of the news stories.
Yeah, saw that. Let's click on that one here. So apparently, and I'm always iffy on these. Like, so the title is Final Fantasy XIV's gender-locked Vera and Hrothgar races spark accusations of homophobia and sexism. I mean, really, if technically I've seen these headlines and then you go through and you like look for it and it's like two dudes on Twitter that were just bitching back and forth a lot. So it's like not really, it's not really a lot of people, but one person may have done it. So I don't really know how widespread it is. But apparently in the new expansion, they got the Vera, which for those of you not familiar with Final Fantasy, those are the hot bunny girls that you saw in Tactics originally, and then Final Fantasy 12 with Fran, not to be confused with Drescher. And the Hrothgar, they were only in Final Fantasy 10. That was the big kind of blue-eyed kitty boy with the muscles and the one horn in the middle of his head that always protected Yuna and was her bodyguard. So that's the only one they've been. What?
Well, what was his name?
I don't know. Who cares?
Kimari.
Sure. Yeah. I
didn't play 10, so I'm not familiar with it. They were probably in 9 too, because 9 sort of.
From what I read, they were only in 10. Everything. Yeah, and I've played both of those. And I don't really remember. He was a Ronso in that one. Yeah, but they're gender locked. So like, even in the lore of both those games, as far as I know, the bunny girls, there are bunny men. But they're so rare, they stay at home, and only the bunny girls go out and about. And then in the guys, it's, which in Final Fantasy's done this in 11. They had two of their races, like the cat girls were only cat girls, and then there was the other one, which I don't remember because I never played 11 very far. But they've done that gender lock thing before. But apparently, and I understand people getting upset when something's, I wanted to play that race, but I wanted to play it as a dude or a girl. I kind of get that, but like to throw out that it's sexist and homophobic, if it's the established lore from like a decade and a half ago,
No, I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, on its face, when you talk about that stuff, I can kind of understand it, but once you get into the lore, then you run into. Yeah, I mean, it's different if they were just like, okay, so these people, even though there's male and females in game that you can see, only females can play. Yeah. That'd be different. That'd be, yes, that's sexist.
Yeah.
If they come in all races, forms, and colors, and they only let you pay white people, then yes, that's racist. But
it's been a long time since the game's done that. Yeah.
But it has happened.
Yeah.
But in this situation,
it's established lore.
I mean, do I think that MMOs in particular tend to focus in a quasi-racial way on certain types of characters? Yes.
Well, yeah.
But that's culture, not.
Mm-hmm. Well,
they're just responding to what sells, and while it's still horrible, it's not quite the same thing.
And the bunny girls, and I've actually been playing Final Fantasy 12 before this article popped up, and Sib actually just saw the bunny girl. And what was your first reaction to seeing her?
Oh my god, does she have clothes on?
Yeah, her butt's hanging out.
Seriously.
But at the same time...
It wasn't just her butt.
Oh, it was everything.
Was hanging out.
But the kitty guy...
Holy crap.
I mean, at least with the Hrothgar guy, the kitty guy, he's just wearing a couple belts across his chest, so, I mean, at least he's scantily clad, too. It's, if you're into furries, but...
Yeah.
I didn't even pay attention to him because...
because he wasn't in that game, but this is in Final Fantasy 14, yeah. But, see, and the thing is, if you're trying to make your argument, like, if you're pissed off... I get being pissed off about it. Personally, I'm way more pissed off when a game gender locks a class, like BDO did. That's garbage. That's stupid. Don't gender lock a class. Especially you've already got men and women in the game. Don't lock it to one. Don't lock the class to a gender. That's just weird, and there's literally no point to it. You're just being. I don't even think it's being lazy. It seems like that'd almost be more work. But with the Vera and the Hrothgar thing, I kind of get being upset, and I guess some of their preliminary stuff. Their art had showed the male and female bunnies, and maybe it's just I mean, I don't know if FF14's development has been a little lazy, so it could just be like, hey, we're just going to do one gender of each so that we don't have to redo the armor at all on each one of them. Could be as simple as that. Just a lack of resources. And they're just like, yeah, but the lore says there's only this one. Could be. I don't know. It just seems like a silly thing to get stuck on. Like one of them saying was but lore, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I hate gender-locked races. And pretty much everyone in my guild is trying to convince me that I'm wrong and to take a stance and to take up. Yep, my opinion is wrong. By saying how it makes sense lore-wise, so I should somehow be happy. Fuck that. I don't give a shit. I wanted male bunnies and female lions as well. Like, I get it's difficult to do, but we're just going to end up like when we had female Makode and male only Ro, and that's just frustrating to me. Okay. Well, don't play.
I don't get why they didn't just do it to begin with. I mean...
Meh. But when you get into that too, I mean, it could just be a creative choice. It's like, why do people do anything? Why are there only male dwarves in the Lord of the Rings books? I mean, you could go there if you wanted. You could start really if you want to. You can pick apart everything. Well, why wasn't Malcolm Reynolds a woman? Why wasn't Luke Skywalker a chick? Why wasn't Princess Leia Prince Leia? You can really go down that, not to go with the Vieira thing, but rabbit hole and with just about everything. Sometimes it's just a creative decision. And, just like Snape killing Dumbledore, you may not have to like it. It still happened. Yes. Oh, by the way, spoiler alert for, 15 years ago.
Way to go.
Now I'm going to get the shit kicked out of me in front of a Chinese theater for ruining Endgame, like that one guy did. But, it seems like a stupid thing to really get bent out of shape. Does it kind of suck? Yeah, I guess. But, they're finally getting the thing that, like the Vieira and the Hrothgar, which people have been screaming for in Final Fantasy XIV for like the last 5 years. And like most things in gaming, still not good enough. So this MMO players is why we can't have nice things, is people like that. It's just dumb. And then moving on from that is the other thing we've talked about. Last thing on the news here. Okay, and I see we've talked about. Obviously, we talked about it because anybody that has played video games in the last 10 years has talked about it. And that would be the loot boxes, which a Senator Josh Haley from Missouri is trying to put a bill for to stop them. Finally trying to stop. Which, by the way, is the Protecting Children from Abusive Games Act. Ugh. Somebody really, really, really needs to talk to this guy about naming shit. He is really bad at it. Or as I like to call it, Pachaga. It's a stupid name. What I hate about that really is, one, I don't want the government getting involved in gaming. That's why the ESRB was created, to keep government out of gaming. And while I do think loot boxes are awful and the microtransactions are horrible, the way of going about it is not the way. They're ham fit. Anything the government does is just going to come down like a big fisty of hams. It's not going to be good. Supposedly it's for kids. It's the kids games that are designed for kids under age of 18, whose developers knowingly allow players to engage in microtransactions. Like Candy Crush was the one they did, which has a not a good look, by the way, microtransaction bundle of $150 for Candy Crush.
For what?
I don't
almost spit
know.
my drink out.
It's called the Luscious Bundle, which
ooh,
right? Because we all know those under 18-year-olds that have an extra $150 on their mom's credit card laying around for it. It gets you goodies. I guess it probably does those. We played Candy Crush back when it came out. You get those little candies, like the super candies that will like eliminate stuff off the screen. I assume it's crap like that. But and that's
as someone
bad.
who I play a game called Township. I had to think for a second what it was called. And I've been playing it for like a year and a half. And when I first started playing it after about I don't know, 2 months. My husband sat me down and was like, "You spent $100 on that game last month."
Right.
Like, no, I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
He says, you totally
It's
did.
insidious.
And we went back and looked, and I had. And
Mm-hmm.
it's easy to do.
Yeah. Well,
it really is. But I would never spend like $100
and $50 outright.
No, there's bundles like that, and I'm just like, who would do that? But of course, that I say that with a straight face, and I spent $135
housing and ESO.
On housing and ESO just in the last 6 months. So I really can't. I mean, everybody has their thing. And
Right.
if that's their thing, I'm okay with that. And that's my problem with the loot boxes. When they start talking about controlling it, and people are like, well, they're bad. You're right. They're bad. So is gambling, smoking, doing drugs.
Right. And that's where this kind of comes under. Like you're buying the house. You're spending that much money on something that you know you're getting. There's really no gambling involved. That's just a purchase. It's just, it's like buying the game.
And I don't gamble on anything.
I mean, she's also a grown-ass adult.
Right.
Right.
But the thing,
that's true. Here's
what I'm curious what it would change, though. So, because you, Jazz, and we've all played, we'll go with any of the MMOs right now. ESO and SWTOR, they both have loot boxes in them.
Right.
Kids under 18 play these games.
And
so
there's
if something
things
like
that
this
kids
goes
can
into
buy
act,
that are like, you buy this little thing and you don't know what's inside. You open it up and there's a toy.
Right.
It's basically loot boxes. Mm-hmm. They have these things everywhere. And I agree that that something needs to change, but I don't necessarily think
that the government should get involved. But at the
same because even if a child is doing it,
right, it's a parent. There's definitely a parent, like with all gaming. There's a parenting component. I personally, I don't want them to get involved. It would have been nice if I'm hoping, because I don't think this will pass. I mean, as much as do it for the children looks great in politics, I don't think there's enough outcry after the EA thing with Battlefront and all that.
I think there's too much money in it for them to actually turn it off, and I don't believe that they're not bought and paid for. So I have a hard time believing that there's enough senators willing to say goodbye to their donations.
And honestly, even without that, I doubt there's enough of them that know what the fuck is even a video game. Where is that, like Pong? Did you watch
those Microsoft, Facebook things when he was talking to Congress?
Robo data.
Yeah, I have not laughed that hard in a long time, and my kids thought I was watching a comedy, right? I kept bursting out in laughter as I was watching this thing play out.
Mark Zuckerberg, yeah.
Yeah, when he was interviewing his expressions, and I was just
he's a nerd.
Laughing so hard.
He's a nerd. He's socially awkward nerd. That's literally
I was laughing because he was trying so hard to explain it to idiots. Who have no concept of what, and they were like, so what you're really saying is it does this, and you see his face, he's just like, Jesus, do I have to say this again? And so he takes a breath and he says it again in a different way, and you're just like, I was losing it. It was so funny, the look on his face. He should
just said, listen, guys, you're the ones that once referred to the internet as a series of tubes. I don't have time for you. He should have just Iron Man the whole thing and took it off. That's when you need Stark in there, just like, you know what? All right, I'm taking control of this. But, he
was far too patient with these people while they were asking him questions, with that long Southern drawl, and he may as well just have said, I'm a dumbass, so I feel like I need to tell you I'm a dumbass, so I'm going to step up here right now, and I want to tell you I'm a dumbass. Is that okay? And he says, yes, sir, that's okay.
Yep.
It's just like, it was embarrassing.
So, I personally, I don't want the government in anything, personally. Ask me what I think about the government being in, was it gay marriage? Yeah, that's a problem created by the government that the government pretends to try to solve. You know why gay marriage is a thing? Because you have to get a marriage license. You know what would solve that? Not needing a marriage license. Oh, by the way, marriage licenses were created to keep blacks and whites from marrying. So, it started from evil. Maybe we should just do away with it. Problem solved.
Amen.
But they create a problem, and then they pretend to solve it, and they're not really good at either. No. So I don't want them to get involved in this. Unfortunately, if the gaming industry as a whole doesn't turn around from this, and I don't know if they'll be able to, because the revenue stream from this stuff is billions, in the billions. I mean, Candy Crush is still, I don't know how long that damn game's at. It's still at the top of the little, like, #1 paid subscription game or whatever on
Which,
on
by
Android.
the way, it's got to be the most boring game I've ever played in my life, so I don't get it. But
I had fun with it. We played that for about a month back in the day when it first came out. Did we, Sib?
What was it?
Candy Crush?
Yeah, I played a little longer.
You played a little longer, but even still, you didn't really spend you weren't spending, money in it.
No.
But
Pokemon I did.
Pokemon Go, yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Quite a bit. But at least, but you know what? That one's microtransactions, but it wasn't loot boxes. You weren't gambling. You were just, you knew what you were buying.
Yeah.
See, and I think that's where a big difference is. Even with like the cosmetic stuff, and I get it, cosmetics is no big deal. Really, it shouldn't be. But at the same time, it hits that little. They trust me. They hire psychologists. These gaming companies, they do know about psychology. Like I said on the last episode of the one of the first turrets that you come into in BioShock, that no matter how many times it shoots at you, it's programmed to miss every single time. That way you don't get killed right off the bat and think, well, this game's garbage and I suck at it, and never play it again and take back to returns. They know how that stuff works. They're not stupid. They make stupid choices, but they're not typically stupid. So
Exactly.
it's a dangerous, they are a slippery slope. It's a slippery slope because they were so afraid of that after Mortal Kombat with the ESRB. That's why they created that. And then the worst thing of this is that the very end, it was updated after the fact. The ones that created the ESRB, the Entertainment Software Association, the video game industry lobbying group, sent over a statement shortly after the bill was introduced. Quote, numerous countries, including Ireland, Germany, Sweden, Denmark, Australia, New Zealand, and the United Kingdom, determined that loot boxes do not constitute gambling. We look forward to sharing with the senators the tools and information the industry already provides that keeps control in-game spending in the parents' hands.
it is gambling. I think that's what pisses people off. Is it is gambling. Just call it gambling.
Well,
say that you control it and go from there.
What they
If it walks like a duck or quacks like a duck, it's a duck.
It's no different than a scratch ticket.
Yeah. Well, here's the one little tidbit they also left out. I think Australia and the United Kingdom, or no, Germany and Australia, also had plenty of data showing that how the loot box and the microtransaction things definitely had an uptick in targeted people with addictive personalities. So they may not have said it was gambling at the time. They also neglected to mention I think, 3 or 4 countries that have called it gambling and banned it from their country. I think Brazil and one of the Swede countries was... Yep. I think that's the proper term, the Swede countries. Yeah.
Scandinavian.
I'm just going to call it Swede countries. I know a Swedish guy. I can say that. His name's Mats, and it's not pronounced like it sounds, or spelled like it sounds. So, yeah, it's an ugly thing. And that's a bullshit answer. They know exactly, they're going to look forward to sharing it with the tools.
They designed it. The way that they designed it is no different than a pull tab. I mean, it's just like when we're doing in ESO, when we do the quest where you go and you do the Undaunted stuff and you get a key. We call it, to pull the lever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like because when you go and you turn in that key, it's completely
and at least
random.
with that, it's just your time.
Right.
If you want to do
but
that,
it's still gambling.
Yeah,
you're still gambling. Mm-hmm. That's what it is, and it's no different than anything. It just infuriates me. That's what makes me mad.
RN Jesus, start praying, sacrifice that goat.
It's just what pisses me off. It's like I get it. What did they say? Don't piss on me and tell me it's raining.
Yeah, R. Kelly, looking at you.
I really like that saying. Ever since I heard it, I was like, yes, that's perfect. I'm going to use that. Because that's exactly what these companies are trying to do. And just call it what it is. Say that you've figured out that addictive personalities will have a problem with this and go from there. Don't sit here and tell me that it's not gambling. It's gambling. But, I still don't want the government involved. Why?
Because they'll fuck it up.
1, prohibition doesn't work. 2, people are going to do it.
Well, and if they get involved, they're gonna start. That's where you start getting censorship in video games because they're gonna be like, well, we're gonna need to see every game that comes out It's going to cost more. It's going to take longer. It's a snowball effect you don't even want to get involved in.
Nope. It's just a mess, and we don't want them dabbling their fingers in that. On so many different levels. No.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the few things you and I absolutely agree on.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that's enough of the news because it just pisses everybody off. So, with the main topic, insecurities, gonna go. It's one I'd actually, it happens. It comes up every now and then. So, I've been thinking of it for a while. So, I thought it kind of keeps people from doing things that they should. So, let's go ahead and go into it. So, insecurities, they are the gift, of course, that keeps on giving. I've come to realize as I'm nearing 40, which, by the way, May 31st is my birthday. Feel free to send gifts. That even though I'm a grown-ass man, talk on a show live, people listen to it later, have no problem making a fool of myself, self-deprecating humor, or even talking in public. I have no fear of that whatsoever as I used to. I am still absolutely riddled with insecurities. And cheese. And this got me thinking, I know I can't be the only one. I'm 40 years old, and I still, I get nervous when I go to just even post promotions for the show and things like that, or if I have something to say at times, or some new roleplay plot idea. It's legal here, smoke it. But I still get nervous about that stuff, and it comes from insecurities. So as I know I can't be the only one, the short answer of that is no, I know I'm not the only one. The long answer of that is hell no. I know I'm not the only one. I still get jealous of people at times, often in my own head, but at least, I have a reason for that I can point at, like Sherlock Holmes, and shout, aha, that's the culprit. I know why I get jealous, and that comes from, previous relationships, affairs, and things like that. So I have issues. We all do. I have a hard time sometimes taking insults and criticism to heart. Like, if it's put in a good place, I can take that. But what it said as an insult, or even if I take it that way, I take it straight to heart, and I get real defensive about it. And above all things, I think my biggest thing is being accused of something I didn't do, or even the perception that I might have done something I didn't do. I'm sure that one a lot of people share. Nobody likes being blamed for shit, especially if they didn't do it. And I will be honest, I'll be the first one if I screwed up, be like, yep, you're not getting your stuff. So what does all that probably have to do with RP, you're asking? And I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you're listening. Glad you're asking these questions. It's a good thing. It has to do with RP because I believe a lot of these insecurities affect many role players into not understanding just how great they can be at it. But they're afraid to stand out. Afraid to try crazy idea, and succeed or fail. If you never put the idea out there, it's a failure. Not to act is to act, so to speak. And there are many people just, they'll just follow the confident crowd, letting themselves always, be standing backstage holding the curtains when they could easily be on the stage in the spotlight. And again, I understand we've been spotlight all the time, but at times you still have to stand out. But and while I know that's a lot to unpack, so let's slow it down and back it up. And look what causes insecurities. And as I so expertly Google searched the term, found the 3 most common insecurities and how to spank their ass, kind of like, the MCU does to the DC movies over the last 10 years. It's really not a contest. It's just embarrassing. DC, seriously, you need to step your shit. Shazam and Wonder Woman were a good start, but the other 8 films are just awful. So I just, Endgame is really good. So with that, it's on from Psychology Today because I know how to party. God, I need to play different games more often. So, let's see here, real quick. One type of insecurity is insecurity based on recent failure or rejection. Show of hands. Anybody like failing or being rejected? Anybody? I mean, I know there's a lot of kinks out there. Somebody could totally get off on that. Anybody here, by chance?
I think everybody struggles with that on one level or another.
Yeah.
For me, the whole blacklisting stalkery thing that I went through in EQ2 left a permanent mark on me. And I see ghosts everywhere because of that. Something will happen or somebody will do something. I'll be like, oh, it's her. She's back. And then I'll be like, stop it. Stop it. But it's automatic because of ow, that hurt. Hard.
Tough. Jazz is giving tough love.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I will see, like, every time that there's some guy that I enjoy hanging out with, I'm always like, okay, so we're all okay, right? I mean, you don't mind, and I know this was a tough scene, but, you don't have to keep checking with me every time, honey. It's okay. It's like, I know, but I just, yeah, I know where that comes from. Yeah. So, everybody has that. I think if you've had something bad happen, particularly if you are a creative person, it goes down in that list of shit I never want to do again. And you run back to this list when you're having a good time. Is this happening? No. Is this happening? No. Yep. Oh dear. So I think and my opinion is, and I think from the research I've done, this seems to be pretty much an understood thing. Creatives think a little differently, and we tend to get stuck.
Your brain's just ain't right.
We're different. We process failure differently than other people. Other people fail. They kick themselves. They get upset. They might even get depressed and eat ice cream for a week. But after a while, they move away from it. Creatives tend to really
Meanwhile, a month later at 1 a.m., I really shouldn't have said "have a nice day" to that. Or when you're at the movie theater concession stand and they hand you the popcorn and they said "enjoy your movie" and you said "you too." I shouldn't have said that. Shouldn't have said that. That was stupid.
Creatives tend to obsess about the smallest details that they should have done differently.
We hold on to that shit like a teddy bear at night.
Yep, we do. And it's even more so about our own creativity.
Yeah.
So I think that part of the reason that we see this so much in roleplay and with roleplayers is because roleplayers tend to be creatives.
Yeah, as long as they're not playing Dristo Orden, they're the creative ones.
Yeah, well, even they are creatives. Creatives, people who desire to be something that they're not, who can pretend. Because let me tell you something, I've met some people who really want to roleplay. And after a couple of weeks, you're like, I just can't do this. And you're like, oh, thank God he figured it out. You don't ever say it out loud, but you're just like, whew.
Bless your heart.
Thank God.
Yeah, so going into this thing real quick for the insecurities based on failure and rejection, according to the research on happiness suggests that about up to 40% of our quote-unquote happiness quotient is based on recent life events. The biggest negative contributor to happiness is the ending of a relationship, followed by a death of a spouse or family member. I'm going to put that in there. Job loss, negative health events. And since unhappiness also influences your self-esteem, failure and rejection can deliver like a double whammy to your confidence, which is right in the kidneys. So, and, of those of us that already kind of have lower self-esteem to begin with, I mean, I'm not saying a lot of us were probably picked on school and bullied, but a lot of us were picked on school and bullied.
Picked on in school.
Yes, well, creatives are also that, by the way.
Right, yeah.
They also tend to be targeted in school and made fun of.
But we were still better than those fucking band nerds. Am I right, guys? Am I right? Anybody? I was in art class. I was
band
better.
Sounded like fun.
Actually, band did sound like fun. Unfortunately, I would have had to learn music and do things. So art class it was. I did like art class.
They had me right up until the whole march in place thing. I was like,
why am I
wait.
fucking moving but not going anywhere? What kind of bullshit is this?
Not only that, but you want me to play and walk at the same time? This is just a recipe for disaster, folks.
Have you seen me walk up the stairs? It doesn't happen. It's not working. So because of that, those of us with lower self-esteem to begin with are more reactive to failure. It's as if an experience like losing your job grabs an old negative belief about your self-worth and activates them. Or if somebody critiques something that you're doing, or if you're in the middle of an event and someone makes a shitty comment because they're not having fun, because they're having a bad day, and it snowballs onto you. All these things happen. But there are, there's plenty of things. It may help to understand that failure is nearly ubiquitous, is not nearly a ubiquitous experience. I'm terrible with saying ubiquitous. It's a terrible word. It's way too many U's in one word. Before becoming president, Abraham Lincoln lost his job, was defeated for nomination in Congress, failed at least twice in his Senate bids, and persevering despite setbacks can lead to eventual success. I don't know if you're aware of this. He was eventually a president. You may have heard of him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
vaguely.
Vaguely, right? He did some stuff.
Vaguely.
I think he's very well known for his hat. Probably is most famous for his hat. Also, funny story. He is not a good-looking man, and they were trying to figure out what to do about that and make him look more like he should be a president. And a little girl said, "You should try to grow a beard to cover up your face." He said, "I will try that, young lady." Turns out the beard worked out pretty well for him, so thank that little girl for his beard.
Kids are brutally honest.
Yeah.
Brutally.
Oh, you ever want to know if you're fat or ugly? Ask a kid, you'll find out.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you don't even have to ask them.
No, they'll volunteer.
Sometimes they'll just offer it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you know your breath smells like cat food? I do now, and I'm going to go rinse my mouth with Clorox. Thank you. So, below are tools that you can do to overcome failure and rejection-based insecurity. And I thought these were pretty good. So, one was give yourself time to heal and adapt to the new normal. Pretty good. Sometimes things change in life and they're never going to be the same again, especially if, for example, death of a loved one, death of a job that you really loved, and you're probably never going to get hired back because, I don't know, it was taken over by Uber drivers or smart cars. I have no idea. Something like that. Get out, engage with life, follow your interests and curiosities. So, for example, if you're role-playing because it's an interest or curiosity, don't sit on the sidelines, get off your ass, try to do something, step out of your comfort zone. It's okay. It'll be all right. Reach out to friends and family for distraction and comfort. Depends on the family.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to say depends on the family and the friends. You got friends that are smoking weed, those are the friends you want. The ones doing crack, avoid those. Get feedback from people you trust. All of you guys, I think every single one of us has gone to one or the other at one time and said, "Hey, what do you think of this story idea?" We bounce it back and forth off of each other because we all trust each other, at least when we were all playing the same games, which now is rarer. Preserve and keep moving forward towards your goals. I mean, unless you're like me, in which case you're like, I graduated high school, now what? And I really didn't have any goals in life other than not to die early, which I've been doing good at so far. Fingers crossed. Be willing to try a different strategy if necessary. And I think that's the one that really gets a lot of people. We get stuck in a rut. Like, I know I've been there. I've been in a job I hated and was miserable. And I knew I could solve that problem by applying to another job, which I might later on hate and be miserable at. But instead, I just stayed at the job I was already miserable and hated because it was comfortable. And that's not a good way to do it. If you hate your job and you're miserable, make the effort. Worst that happens is you find another job that you're also miserable at. Working sucks. So the type 2 is
It
a
does.
lack of
Adulting.
Adulting is awful, and also
Adulting
a verb. So the second type of anxiety, typical anxiety, is a lack of confidence because of a social anxiety, which in roleplay, I think we can skip this one. I don't think a single one of these people exists in any roleplay ever. What do you guys think? Nobody in roleplay has social anxieties at all, ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody.
Nobody. No.
So it is easier to communicate. Well, I think anyway, it's easier to communicate with people online than it is.
Because you
real
don't
life.
have to sit and face them. And you can always cut ties, if it goes bad.
Yeah. And what was it? Shard, an old role player we did back in EQ2, who we've talked about before. She admitted, she had horrible social anxiety. She didn't like to even leave her apartment. Almost was it the agoraphobia kind of a thing almost.
Yeah.
But online, she was able to come out of her shell a lot more, and in the game, because she did that, it helped her in real life. Those social anxieties are a real bitch. So many people lack experience of confidence in social situations like parties, family gatherings, interviews. There's nothing really worse than an interview. Or date. Even worse than interviews.
Oh, God.
I mean, really, if we're going to be honest, is a date not really just an interview where you're both interviewing each other at the same time for the same job?
I never want to date again.
No.
Ever.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
Never.
I'm pretty sure that if something happens to my husband, I will be single for the rest of my life.
Me too.
If something happens to Zib, I'm just buying one of those Chinese robo dolls. I'm just going to be done with it. I can just program and tell her what to say. Maybe
See, I don't even need that. I just need that one.
Oh, I don't. I just need something to sit on the couch, I'll just program her to say, "You need to do the dishes." So then I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I do need to do the dishes. Why don't you do them, you lazy bitch? You've been sitting on your ass." Oh yeah, right. You're a robot. Never mind.
I just never going to get married again.
No. So
that's what I told
second time's a
everybody
charm?
with you.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I was never going to get married again, and
No, hey Jazz.
fucking married again.
Hey Jazz. Remember when I told you I was gonna go out just on a friend movie date with a friend from work? And what did you say to me? You said, "Okay, well, just make sure you know not to be serious with it because you're still healing." And I was like, "Oh no, there's no problem with that whatsoever." So my wife Sib over here. Yeah,
It's okay. I feel you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you want to know what happened after I said that?
Yeah. No. I don't know now.
I do.
I told Jason you were finally going out on a date again and you were probably going to have some fun. Jason's like, what did you tell him? I told him to have fun with his quote-unquote friend and hopefully it would work out.
To be fair, though, I did take her to see Marley and Me, and we both cried. I mean, at least
Yeah.
I cried.
Aw.
That was probably not the best movie choice. She took me to see Underworld,
Heck yeah.
which also is only a marginally... We went and saw Rise of the Lycan at one point, too, and that was...
Yeah, no. Hey, I thought it was going to be good.
It was just bad. It was all bad. So, anyway, social anxieties. They were so much fun. Let's go back to those.
I know, right?
Anyway, so really, it's a lot of the problems that people have with those is they're afraid of being evaluated by others or found to be lacking. It can lead to feeling anxious or self-conscious. Really, it's kind of like, again, maybe I'm the only one, when you go on the dance floor and you're, I don't know, a pasty, overweight white guy nearing 40, and you've got all the moves of Jello. Jello would be
Elaine from Kramer or Frasier. What did no Kramer? Seinfeld.
Wow, I was just at this.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Holy cow, I was having a rough time there.
Cheers. Silver spoons. All in the family.
Family ties
Family ties.
for the win.
Charles in charge. I don't know. Alf.
Different strokes.
What you talking about? Man.
Anyway,
Man, they don't really do
great
shows like that
Houdini,
anymore,
Cat.
do they? Anyway.
How young are you, honey? He says you could always get swole. It's a little harder when you're at the top of the hill looking down.
A little bit. So, wow, ADD all over the place right now. Sorry. So, and past experiences can feed your sense of not belonging, not feeling important or interesting. High school, eating alone,
Yes.
or not being good enough. And I think a lot of us, it's amazing, isn't it? Something that happened in our teenage years still haunts you 20 years later. And maybe we're just losers like that, but I think a lot of people have that shit to go on about them. At least ones that, weren't popular or liked.
Well, I mean, those are formative years for the rest of your life,
And one of the words in formative is form, and they basically form you for the rest of your years, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you grew up with critical parents, parents who pressured you to be popular and successful, my parents did none of that stuff. They're just like, just please don't fail. Did you get a C? Uh-huh. Good enough. You can be, kind of oversensitive to how people perceive you. This one I think it hits a lot of people. Just the social anxiety of worrying about what everyone thinks of you and is always judging you. You're afraid to embarrass yourself in front of it. Acting silly. Like I remember back in high school, some of the kids I thought were the coolest were ones at like assemblies that when the music was playing, they just get out there and they were dancing and goofing off and stuff like that. And they have the whole school looking at them, didn't give a shit. I was always impressed by that because I was like, nope, I can't do that. I probably could now. Radio show kind of a thing. And kind of make that shit up. So kind of got over that one. Yay! Still behind the safety of a microphone.
I just don't think about all the people that listen to us. And I'm fine.
See, and I
thinking about it, it's like,
yeah, I don't have that safety net because I have to look at the numbers and stuff and make sure there's actually anybody other than me and my mom listening. Which, thanks for listening, Mom. Oh, by the way, happy Mother's Day, moms. Yeah. Hope you guys out there remembered to get something because by the time you hear this, if you're not listening live, it's too late. You're so screwed.
You're screwed, yeah.
You better get your ass down to the supermarket and get those dried out ass roses or pansies or at this
Violets are a great hit. I bought some violets and I found these butterflies at Salvation Army. So
yeah, I
think those to my mom.
If you're doing this on Mother's Day, dandelions are beautiful this time of year. Yeah.
Of course, I dropped it off to her, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she wasn't home, thank God. So,
Happy Mother's Day. Glad I missed you.
So I got. She didn't lock her door. She never locks her door. So I just went in and I put it in her bedroom, and laid it out so the cat wouldn't screw with it, and left. And I sent her a message that said that I had left it in her house and it was in her bedroom. And she thanked me, and then she pointed out that there were no signatures from the kids.
Oh, sweet Jesus!
I was like, "Sorry, I didn't think of that, Mom. You're welcome. Hope you enjoyed it."
That's why I always put "and kids," even though one of them doesn't even live here right now anymore. I'm just like, and Cheyenne signed it too. Look, her signature just happens to look exactly like mine. She put the little smiley face with the tongue sticking out too. That's what she does. That's her signature. So with this,
I gotta say it. Speaking of Cheyenne, our daughter, we're going to be grandparents.
Yes, we are. I'm going to be grandpa.
He's awesome.
I'm going to be a grandma. I'm so excited. But yeah, I had to say that.
I'm going to teach him how to throw dirt clod. I actually think it's going to, for whatever reason, I always go with boys because boys are just frankly better than girls. I'm sorry, girls. It's just a fact. But I actually think this one's going to be a girl. I don't know why. So I'm going to teach her how to throw dirt clods and cuss. That's what Grandpa Mike's going to do. And I'm going to call her Little Ling Ling. It's an old joke from the kids. I always said, I wish you guys were Asian pandas so I could call you Ling Ling and Popo, or boy and girl. So now I'm going to call my granddaughter Ling Ling. And if I ever get a grandson, obviously, Popo. Because we call our daughter Cheyenne. Perfectly fine name. For whatever weird reason, before I came into the picture, her nickname is Nina.
Yes.
It serves no purpose and has no connection to the family or lore whatsoever.
No.
It is
It just
completely
happened.
unanimous.
It just happened. She's just our Nina.
It'd be like if we took our son Tristan and just said, you know what your nickname is? What? Luke. We're going to just call you Luke from now on. Why?
Now, to be fair, my mother's nickname is Day, not Grandma.
So that's different, though. That's a grandma nickname. My great-grandma was Mimo, and my grandpa...
But I think it's the same thing for people. Somebody starts saying it, and then it just sticks.
I called my grandma on my dad's side Mama Mary because at the time I couldn't pronounce grandma, yet the grandparents on my mom's side I called grandma and grandpa, but the ones on my dad's side were Mama Mary and Papa Allen. I don't know. Families are stupid. But yes, we're going to be grandparents.
Sorry to derail the thing. I had to say it.
Man, that seemed like a show opener kind of a thing. Like, I'm going to be grandpa! I'm old!
Well, it seemed like a good place to stick it.
Yeah. It's actually a good thing my mom doesn't listen to this show.
So I don't know a good place to stick things, so.
Because I has still haven't told my mom she's going to be a great-grandma. She didn't take being a grandma real well. Not because, she didn't want to be. She just didn't want to be called grandma because it made her feel old. So I can't imagine great-grandma, which I'm going to call her tomorrow on Mother's Day and let her know. I love ruining things for people. I just love it.
You are a ruiner.
I am a ruiner.
You are a ruiner.
So anyway, yes. So Grandpa Ashton's going to go over the basic tools to combat insecurity and social situation. Get the hell off my lawn, boy! God damn kids always riding their fucking bikes on my lawn. I'm going to shoot that little... I'm practicing. I'm going to be good grandpa. So, to combat your inner dumbass in social situations is talk back to your inner critic. Remind yourself of all the reasons that you can be interesting and fun or would be a good friend or partner. You're probably going to sound crazy if you do that out loud. So keep that monologue internal. But it actually is good. Sometimes I've actually had to this typically happens when I get pissed off at something. Calm down. They're not worth it. Look where the insult is coming from before you get upset. All right, now I can insult that motherfucker. Because I'm calm. It's okay at that point. Prepare in advance. Think of... This one actually sounds like something from a bad 80s movie where they're trying to, like a rom-com. Try to think of things to talk about. Current events, movies you've seen, hobbies, your job, family. I'd probably avoid politics this day and age. Probably don't go there. Unless you agree, and then you can just bash the other side. So once you're there, you're good. Avoiding social... avoiding those damn Republicrats. Avoiding social situations just to make things worse. So go to a party or on a date, even if you're nervous. Your anxiety should decrease once you actually engage with others. If not, the first or second time, then once you get used to showing up. I mean, it's good advice. It also just seems like horrible advice at the same time. If you're horribly, horribly uncomfortable and you have no fun, typically people don't end up going back to that. So you might want to try another exercise or situation which you may be a little more comfortable, like bowling. Movies are another great one because you only have to talk to them before and after, and there's an hour and a half to 2 hour period, unless you're watching Endgame, 3 hour period. You just sit next to each other and enjoy each other's company while you watch Robert Downey Jr. be awesome. He is also another good-looking man. So, set yourself...
I agree. Can't argue that.
Sorry. Set yourself a limited, realistic goal. This could be anything from talking to 2 new people or finding out more about one person's work or hobbies, interests, things like that. Deliberately... Yep. What?
I was just... when you said that, I was just thinking, yeah, for me, that's psyching myself up. Saying to myself, I'm going to make this phone call today.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick up the phone and call this person.
You know what's even better, Yunfei? And I know you have absolutely no experience in this one. Calling that other person also happens to be a health professional. Those are the most fun people to talk to and explain the situation to for the 15,000th time, aren't they?
Yep.
They're all garbage. So, and lastly, deliberately focus on others' combat intense self-focus. Wait, I read that wrong. Deliberately focus on others to combat intense self-focus, not combat them. Don't go in there fighting. Don't go to a party and be like, I'll fight every one of you motherfuckers right here. Don't do that. That's probably, unless you're at a fight club, which you shouldn't be talking about.
We actually had somebody do that sort of thing, and I think they thought it was a good way to meet Sith.
Oh, you mean, I was going to say in real life or the game?
No, in game, you always see, I mean, in real life, I've had people do this, but it's not as, nobody in real life is going to get something and beat you with it. So, well, not usually.
Typically. Although we did have a stabbing here in Tulsa for somebody that took someone else's parking spot at a hotel.
Road rage is a completely different thing.
Oh my God.
That's a lot more like Sith versus Sith right there.
At 2 a.m. where there were no designated parking spots, but they stabbed the bitch.
Oh,
so,
people get...
They're so weird.
But, I mean, in game, we had somebody who met one of our guildies, and was Kishmas's character. It was really...
Who's someone that has absolutely no social anxieties. Kishmas.
None
whatsoever.
So he brings this girl in to meet the Sith and the other people in the guild. And she's just basically like sits on top of the couch and it's like, what's up, hookers? Basically. And of course, Kariv she's pretty laid back. She's not that laid back.
No, yeah.
Eyebrows went up and she looked at Arthasel and he's just staring at her with his mouth open.
What?
Because he was like, oh my God, stop doing that. Because one of the things that in our guild that Kariv has told people is anyone you introduce, you're taking responsibility for. So he's like, stop doing that right now.
I don't know
and
who
Kariv's
this man is. I must have been brainwashed. Yeah. It was the Force.
Yeah, so she was pretty bad. I mean, and I don't know if it's IC or OC. I'm assuming it was all IC. Yeah. This is the way her character is. And I had sent her a tell, and she goes, she just doesn't care. And it's like, okay, that's all I said. I just checked with her really quick to make sure that things were copacetic, and they were, and she was just like, she doesn't care.
Yeah.
And, Kriv's like, you probably need, because Raish was there as well, and, he has, zero sense of humor. Particularly, he's better now. His character has matured. But when it comes to Kariv, he doesn't tolerate disrespect.
Yeah.
And she was like, you're the half-naked Twi'lek or something like that to Kariv. And he stood up and Kariv just put her hand on his robes and we're like, no.
Use your words.
It was funny for us because in guild, Arthasal's like, son of a...
And see, sometimes you need it's like in was it Deadpool 2? You need that, like Cable was a super serious character, and against Deadpool, you need that anchor character, the spoiler character that's just super serious. Or in that case, when everyone's super serious, you need that one character that really just doesn't give a shit. And if they can do it correctly, she could have done it correctly.
Pulls it off. There has to be a line. So she was escorted out by Arthasal because. When Kariv stood up, he knew she was in trouble.
Right.
And she just looked at Arthasal and said, you need to escort her out now.
Well, it was like, so for example, Hexfin. When he introduced himself
back
to you, and he was like, I know, we haven't seen each other a long time. Not since, I imagine you probably haven't been able to stop thinking about me and that one, or all these different things that he was spouting, none of which were true.
No,
obviously.
And her eyebrows were all the way up. She was...
But
he never crossed the line either.
No.
And he knew where it was, and he stood right on it with both toes.
Yeah. Uncut toenails may have been crossed over it, but, no one wants to hear those.
But then the next day, another girl brought in somebody, and she was like, she says to the woman bringing her in, so you have had a talk with her about how to talk to Sith, right? And Arthasal slides down in his seat. It was so...
Sure.
And he sends me to tell she's going to beat him up for this forever.
Flower. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I know I had a lot of good liners with Hexfin, but I
he was great.
Remember many of them.
He did really great. But yeah, that's a...
Yeah, and that's...
When you're dealing with your own insecurities, it's easy to overreact or
overcompensate.
Overcompensate, thank you. And create a character that can get you less role playing, not more.
Right. Yeah, there's a book series I say listening to. It's basically Harry Potter with superheroes, and instead of being in Hogwarts, they're in college to be heroes. There's people with superpowers. There's powards, which are people that have powers but they have no control of it and they're very looked down on. There's supers, which people that have superpowers but they can control it. And then because there's so many of them, there's actually heroes, which are people that go through a government training process and actually get it's a job title of hero, because when heroes have to go up against villains, there's a lot of collateral damage that the government covers, so they only allow people that have been through proper training to be the heroes and make those life and death decisions that heroes would have to make. It's kind of a neat take on it. So it follows these kids that were powered, but they're the first batch that have actually gone through a experimental test to become supers that can control it. And it's a really cool dynamic of what, they go through. There's 4 books in the series, 4 years of college, of them going through all this stuff. And it's kind of neat seeing that kind of dynamic as they grow and learn and get out of their shells. And I'm only mentioning this because it's a really good series. I don't even remember what the series is called. I think it's called Superpowered for Superheroes or something like that. But it's really good. But it's a lot like Hogwarts and Harry Potter for superheroes. It's a very good book. Has absolutely nothing to do with what we're talking about. I forgot. I lost my point. So I'm going to move on. So type 3, insecurity driven by perfectionism, which is clearly something I do not have. I don't suffer from this one. Okay, I actually do. A lot of my writing and stuff, the long book series thing or a book of my own making, I've put off for years because I didn't know how to start it, didn't know how to finish it, and now I'm doing it, and it's only a short story, but it's coming along, so I'm happy.
Good.
So, but just the worry that I'm not capable of doing something like that has kept me from doing it for literally years. I've had this idea for probably 7-8 years, and I've never even, every time I've put, finger to keyboard, it comes out for about a page, and I delete the entire thing because it's complete garbage. This time, I'm almost at 7,000 words, so it's coming along okay.
That sounds like me to a T.
Yeah.
I'll sit down to draw, and
oh yeah,
everything I draw is trash.
No, and everything I've ever seen from you is awesome. Probably because you've gotten rid of all the trash, I assume. But
sometimes I keep it around and I try to come back to it. But
yeah, I liked the little sketches you showed me of your all the characters from Umbrella Academy. Oh, those were really cool.
Oh yeah,
you need to finish those.
I need to finish those.
Yes, you do. Get off your ass and do something, Seabass. So,
it's been a little busy around here in the Wilson household.
Excuses.
Right. You don't need to sleep. So, but insecurity driven by perfectionism. This is actually one I think a lot of people do suffer from in a lot of ways. Because some of us have very high standards for everything we do. You may want the highest grades, the best job, the perfect figure, the best story arc for us. Polite kids, ideal partner, blah, blah, blah. Unfortunately, life, of course, doesn't turn out that way because we can't all marry beautiful people like I did. Hey, baby.
Shut up.
Aww.
Oh,
I'm blushing.
Yeah, you are beautiful. So,
thank you.
There is a piece of the outcome that is, at least to some degree, out of our control. Bosses may be critical, or in our case, at one point, complete incompetent assholes. Jobs can be scarce. Partners may resist commitment. Blah blah blah. All sorts of things that you want to be different or perfect, but are completely out of your control. If you're consistently disappointed and blaming yourself for being anything less than perfect, you start to feel insecure and unworthy because I mean, sometimes we set our standards too high and they're unrealistic. You should always, the whole thing, reach for the stars. I mean, it's a good thing, but literally, if you just sit out there in your backyard and you're trying to reach for the stars, you're never going to get anywhere except for looking like a crazy lunatic and be committed when your neighbors call and complain that there's an idiot 8 hours at the night reaching up at the heavens for no goddamn discernible reason. I may have got off on a tangent.
Just a little.
But at the same time, it's nice advice, but sometimes maybe reach for, like, the ceiling. Maybe if you get on your tiptoes in a stepladder, you can actually reach that. And then when you hit the ceiling, go for the roof. When you hit the roof, then maybe you go for the stars. Set reasonable goals.
That's part of what my grandma always said, that perfectionism, which is something that runs in our family, creates impossible goals, which then make you feel defeated.
Yeah, because you can't reach the impossible.
Right, you can never be perfect.
No.
The pursuit of perfection
I'm pretty goddamn close, but,
Yeah. It's better than trying to be perfect. But one of the things that I run into myself is because I struggle for perfection in what for myself, but I don't expect it out of really anyone else. Which is not necessarily a bad thing, but I mean, it's better for my friends because I don't think of them as having to be perfect. But it does create and has fed into my depression because I can't ever achieve the perfection that I want. And what I've had to focus on is achieving acceptable.
Right.
Which sounds
reasonable.
Defeatist.
Yeah.
But it's reasonable. And it's important that you are able to look at what you're trying to do and say, I can really do this. Maybe, reaching out every day and going to a social event isn't in your genetic DNA. But
it also takes a lot of time.
It does. Time and energy.
Money.
But, when I come home at night, I want to do the dishes, clean the house, clean the bathrooms, do all the laundry, fold it, and then sit down and play ESO.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to do because I think that that's what the perfect mother would do.
So what do you actually do?
I come home, I sit in my office, I eat my dinner, and I play games because I'm exhausted from my day.
Right. Because
and I always feel like I fail.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not failing. I'm exhausted. And it took a lot for me to get to the point where I realized that I was making my own life difficult.
You're making yourself miserable by setting goals. And really, I mean, in how important is it to clean the toilet 15 times a day?
And my house isn't clean, but it's not filthy either.
Right.
And I've had some of the young people that have been here who said that they love coming to my house because it's so clean. And I went, what?
Are you
what house?
Are you on an episode of Hoarders? That's what you need to ask. That's your next question.
What?
Are you guys in Hoarders?
And my supervisor was like, every time that you start feeling that your house is just a horrible mess, you need to think about some of the houses that you've been in. And then I'm like, oh, okay, well, compared to that, sure, my house is clean. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
My Grammy had a hand-painted sign in their house, God, since I can remember. And it said, my house is clean enough to be healthy and dirty enough to be happy.
Yes. And I believe that is the perfect way to be. I really do. I think that is something that more of us need to do. And it's true socially as well. Not everybody. I am an incredibly social person.
Or else.
It took me a while to figure out that I sort of am and I'm sort of not.
Mm-hmm.
I can be incredibly social, and then I want you all to shut up, fuck up, go away, leave me alone, don't touch me, and I have to sit with my headphones on in absolute and utter untouchableness until I recharge.
Yeah.
Which is why some people don't get me, because they're like, I thought you said you liked people. I did. I'm done now.
And you're like a dwarf in short bursts.
Yes. So I can go to parties and I can do all of this stuff, but then I have to come home and shut off.
Mm-hmm.
And my shrink calls it omnivert. I'm not an extrovert. I'm not an introvert. I'm both.
Yeah. So, like, I can go...
And there are a lot of omniverts.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
you know, he's like, actually, there's more
I get that.
omniverts than there are the others.
I totally agree with that because I get that way
Yeah.
a lot of times.
Yeah.
Just
it's
ask
not
Ashen.
uncommon at all.
Well, yeah,
And
like Sib,
he
when you and I
said
go
that
out to when we would go to parties with our friends and stuff, I go when I go there, I go and I entertain. It's just when I'm around people and I'm around friends, I entertain. I'll pick up a figure of Sean Connery and do a bunch of Indiana Jones jokes the whole time. Sexist and racist things, horrible things to women that are married and other people of ethnic backgrounds. But it's not me doing it, it's Sean Connery. And then I come home and I don't want to fucking do nothing. Leave me alone. I'm good. I can't turn it off. One of my favorite things in life is to make people laugh. It's one of my favorite things in my life, in our marriage life, is to make Sib laugh. I love making her laugh. If I can do that, I have a good day. If I can turn her mood around because she's, I don't know, for example, and this has happened recently, feeling awful because there's every allergen in the fucking air God ever created, and it's all going directly up her nose and making her absolutely miserable.
Oh, it has been a rough 2 weeks.
As just a possible example. If I can cheer her up, I'm happy with that. That's all I need to make myself cheer up. If I can make her happy, I'm happy. And that's all it takes. And then when we get home, we just kind of chill separately.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we always say hi and we do things like that. But then I tell her, you need to go outside and you need to stay out there. And you need to stay away from me. No, I don't do that. Unless, of course, we have to drive together in the middle of a snowstorm because she doesn't like to drive in the bad ice. And the first time we did that, and I drove her to work, and she's a morning person, which is why I hate her.
So a morning person.
And she was blah, 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 blah. I was like, sweetie. This is quiet time.
Yep, that's me.
I don't do anything but look at the road ahead of me. I'm not paying attention. I'm just looking at the road ahead of me. I listen to the radio, and I don't think or sock. So I'm going to need you to do that for me if I'm going to drive you. Otherwise, I'm going to kick you out of this car into a snowbank.
It was hilarious.
Still
Don't say another word.
It's like,
yeah, that weirded out my
I love
husband
you.
because
I love you, but no.
he goes whenever he's walking, whenever he's in the kitchen, he's folding laundry, he's cleaning the kitchen, whatever he's doing, he has his little phone on, and it's either talking or there's music or it's just constant.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And it drives me batshit. I do not understand how someone can't just sit in silence. So when we had to be in the car a couple of times, I forget what we were going to, but there's something that we had to go to a couple times in a row in the morning, and I don't remember what it was.
Parole hearing, I think, yeah.
No, it wasn't. It was something to do.
I had something to
I'm trying
throw
to think what it was. I can't even remember it. Anyway, it meant that we had to be in the car several times. And there was silence because I don't have the radio on in the morning usually. We chit-chatted for about 5 minutes and then it lapsed into silence, and he reached for the radio and I said, nope. He froze, looks at me, what? No. But no. I have no.
What if
This is when we're going to be silent right now, and I'm going to drive.
This is quiet time.
I'm centering. He was like, in silence, and just the look on his face was just pure horror. It was hilarious. And this is when we were fairly new. We had only been living together a year or so. So it was hard for him to even grasp why someone would purposely want to be in silence. It was one of those funny moments.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, real quick here, we'll wrap up at least this how to try to combat the perfectionism thing. It's not an easy one. Try to evaluate yourself based on how much effort you put in, which is controllable, rather than the outcome, which is dependent on a lot of external factors, which is actually really good advice. You can, if you do your best and yet you still fail, try to focus on the fact that you did your best. Maybe next time it'll be different. Maybe this time you failed because zombies. Sure, zombies did it. I don't care. But you tried. You tried to save your family. Unfortunately, they were eaten by zombies, which is outside factor, but you tried. So don't feel too bad about it. Might be...
I like that.
Yeah. I mean, A for effort, right? American English. So, number 2, think about how much difference it would actually make if your work were 10% better. Would the time and energy spent in checking and rechecking or answering every email really be worth it? Or if in your role play you had an idea and you wrote it out, and then you wrote it out again, and you checked it again, and it was never seemed good enough, and eventually you just gave up on it. Which one's better, having at least tried the idea, or letting it sit there and go stale and be forgotten? Doesn't have to be perfect.
Trying,
yeah,
but I tend to let things just sit there and go stale.
Yeah, it's a fear of it's just the fear of failure. It has to be perfect, otherwise it's not anything. If it's not perfect, it's utter garbage. It's on or off. There's no it's in your head. There's no in between. When there's definitely a grayscale. Things can maybe not be perfect. For example, the latest Star Wars movies, not perfect, but they can be enjoyable. I'd rather they have been made than, never getting a Star Wars movie ever again. I would prefer them to have been better, but they are what they are. For example, perfectionism is often based on this is what I was just saying, all or nothing thinking. So trying to find gray areas. Is there more compassionate or understanding way to view a situation? Are you taking your circumstances into account when you evaluate yourself? Is there something you learned or achieved even if the end result wasn't perfect? Which is basically what I just said without having remembered that was coming up. Which means I am super smart.
Mm-hmm.
See, that is a kind of negativity I do not need. You are activating my social anxieties.
Am I?
No, I really don't care what you think. So perfectionism is the conditional self-esteem. No, kidding. Of course I care what you think most of the time. Perfectionists often have conditional self-esteem. God, is that true? They like themselves when they are on top and dislike themselves when things don't go their way. You can learn to like yourself even when you're not good or not doing well. Focus on inner qualities like your character, sincerity, or good values rather than just your grades you get, how much you get paid, or how many people like you. And in this modern age, don't base any of that on Facebook comments. You're all garbage on Facebook equally. So don't go there. Or comment sections on IGN, which is also really bad. So all of those things, it really is a conditional self-esteem is really an ugly thing, because you either like, hey, I'm top of the game, or you know what, I'm just gonna go into the laundry room and drink the Clorox because it sounds awful, painful, and at least it'll get it done. Yeah, so you don't want to do that. So now that we've gone through all of that, because I know what everyone's thinking, I'm fun and you want to party with me. Yep, I know. I am definitely the life of the cult, so I got that going for me. So with all of this in mind,
he's got lots of Kool-Aid too.
Oh, the best Kool-Aid. It has a slight hint of almond, and if you don't get the reference, drink up. So with all that in mind, you really do have to almost mentally remind yourself all the time that there's no reason to be jealous, or that, as I once said to my daughter, look where the insult or criticism is coming from before you let it get to you. You won't always succeed. It's often a visceral or emotional reaction to things around you. But when your conscious mind kicks in, we have to try it. So one of the things I joke about is that no one ever gets upset and does something or says something, and typically afterwards they don't go, that worked out well. I'm really glad I flew off the handle like that and said those horrible, awful things to that person.
Yeah, that doesn't happen often.
Yeah, no, that's not something that typically goes on about. You know what? I'm really glad I got into that guy on politics on Facebook. That was definitely worthwhile of my time. That was worth my time and effort. That was awesome. And a lot of these outbursts, they often come from these insecurities. Politically, I know exactly what I'm doing. Somebody challenges you, and you're like, well, you're a Nazi. It seems to be the typical response from everybody these days. By the way, that's not true. Stop doing that. It really kind of ruins the whole... Nazis were really bad. You got to go pretty far into the... Anyway. Make me feel insecure, will you? This is the internet. Well, you are, and return and fill in the blanks, and you return the favor by going after that person's insecurities for no reason other than that we want to feel the same way they just made us feel. Don't believe me? Again, Facebook, Twitter, the internet. It's basically just an insecurity snowball fight with ice in the center of every snowball, like an angry little ice nugget that hits them in the head after the snowy parts go away. That is the entirety of arguing on the internet. And a lot of it comes from very insecure people from very angry places that don't even, half of them know what they're even talking about. And that goes for both sides, again. People today don't really stop. Maybe this is just my way of thinking of it, but I don't think people today stop and think. We don't often have as much time that's slowed down. We've always got a cell phone. We've always got something in front of us to take our attention off of things. We don't stop and think. We feel, and we do things out of those feelings. And, I didn't really stop and think a lot, not like I probably should. So knowing that, I did. I tried to slow down. I got angry and upset at some stuff, and I was like, well, where is all this coming from? So I had to look into it. And, it's not easy. Looking in on your own self, honestly, is probably one of the hardest things a person can and will ever do. It's easy to critique and judge other people based on what you see on the outside. The hardest thing to do, at least in my opinion, is be honest with yourself on what and why you are or who you are and why you do the things you do. And a lot of that comes from those basic insecurities that we just went over. And it's hard. It really is. It can be really hard to figure out why you fly off the handle when somebody insults your mom or your political views or your role play. But, you kind of have to take a look at that. And once you can figure that out and dissect it, that's the only time you can start to solve it and overcome it. And then once you do, maybe you can try that storyline that you've always wanted to try out. You ask your friends that you trust, that you have an idea, and maybe it's all shit, and maybe it's all still the same tired ideas that, we kind of gripe about here. But if you're a new role player and they're new to you, go for it. Because while they might complain and they might see where it's coming from, they could be a bunch of, for example, off the top of my head, a bunch of tired old role players pining for the glory days of what was fun. But if you do it, more than likely, they'll still be right there with you all the same. And they'll be playing along with the story. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it. Just you gotta look at yourself, kind of move on from it, and give things a try. You really should. And what's this omnivert and ambivert? What's this that you guys are talking about? Verbal. Depend on verbal.
I've very rarely seen it written. I've only heard it spoken.
Oh.
And because of accents and the way some people pronounce certain words, I probably did screw it up. Because amnivert and
Yeah.
And some people put a V instead of a B when they say words.
Let's see here.
So it is possible that I just heard it wrong or I remembered it wrong. Either way, because I have dyslexia that's also audio as well as visual.
Yeah. Ambivert is a person whose personality has a balance of extrovert and introvert features.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the one he meant. Yes.
Omnivert. Let's see what that one is. If I can sell, I just spelled omnibert, which is, of course, when Bert from Sesame Street is everywhere and an all-knowing God, of which we should all be afraid. Because he is very, very stupid. Actually, omnivert, someone who is an introvert and extrovert. They're both the exact same word.
Oh, well, that's kind of cool. I wasn't wrong. My brain didn't screw up for a change.
You're right, and he's right. That's just very... let this be the lesson. One of the first times on the internet, two people said something different, and they were both correct at the same time.
Awesome.
Yeah. I was like, omnivert does sound like exactly what you said, and ambivert, I guess that comes from ambidextrous?
Yeah, I would say that's probably it. And omni means multiple, so it makes sense.
Yeah, nope, they're both meaning exactly the same thing. So you are both very smart and pretty.
Cool.
Jazz?
What?
Your hair looks very nice tonight.
You can't see me.
You got a haircut.
Yes, but that's an
nice.
Old picture.
I don't know what you're talking about. I am definitely not metagaming right now.
Okay. Don't freak me out.
Maybe a little bit of getting. Oh, it's not my fault you left your camera on. By the way, wait for it. Everyone's saying hi. I've had it on the whole time. You could trust me.
Oh, but speaking of creepy,
what's up?
I got hacked on Facebook.
I saw that message about your, okay, so apparently you were sending messages to people?
On Messenger, yeah.
Right, on Facebook.
It wasn't me. And of course, they immediately were like, Jazz would never send me this. That's one of the better things about being so introverted in many ways when it comes to online.
So here's the question I have. Who did I send those nudes to?
Wasn't that kind of message ass? Anyway,
I'm just kidding. There's no nudes. I am not taking a picture of any of this at all, ever. Nuh-uh. Even clothed, it's a pretty rare affair.
You're bright red. It's really funny.
That's the alcohol. Hey, it was my joke. I get to blush. Yeah.
So I found out I happened to be awake because I was role-playing. Normally I would be in bed by 3 a.m. and
bad.
It started at 3 a.m. and my friend contacted me over Messenger and was like, did you just send me this? And it sent a picture of, a screenshot.
Right.
I was like, no. And I went and I looked and it wasn't on my phone or any. It wasn't, I didn't look on my phone. I looked on my computer. And I went into Facebook and I looked on my, what's posted from where. And it said my phone posted at 3:00 in the morning. But I hadn't touched my phone in hours. So I knew immediately. I almost wiped my whole phone. I was like, oh, hell no. And I was going to delete it. And one of my friends was like, no, don't delete it. What is it with you and Scorched Earth? Stop it.
Change the password, bonehead.
He's like, just go into Facebook. You go to this one place. Just go in there. Follow the instructions. And it will be fine. Don't nuke your phone for the love of God, woman.
I was going to put it in salt, put that salt in bleach, and put that bleach in lava.
Yeah, he says that I tend to swat flies with hammers. And he's probably not. That's actually a pretty good view of me. But anyway, so I ended up going through the whole thing. And what they basically do is they shut your Facebook and everything down, and then you change the password at that point.
It logs you out of everything.
Right. And then it forces them to log back in.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately I got a ping saying that this person was trying to log back in.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, no, that's not me. It was just numbers of ones and zeros. I said, no, that's not me. And today I got notified that there's a new spoof account of me. And I had 3 separate people report it. And Facebook contacted me and said that it's under review and has been locked down.
So, Anybody else get those calls from, where was that? Sib?
Sierra Leone.
Sierra Leone?
Sierra Leone.
Across the entire country, apparently.
I got
She
like
got 'em.
7.
Hit like 3 a.m.
Yeah, they were always at night.
Yeah. Yeah, by
There
the
was
way,
no way
if
I was answering.
you ever get several calls from a number in another country, don't call it back, you fucking idiot. Because they're going to charge you long-distance charges, and it's going to go straight to your cell phone company, and they're going to make you pay it. Don't call numbers back you don't know. It's not worth it.
I don't know. I actually tracked down what had happened. About 2 days ago, my son had sent me a link to something. And then he sent me a notice after that said, don't click that. I thought he changed his mind on what he wanted, because we were looking at things that he wanted me to get him. No, he meant it was a phishing thing.
Oh.
He had changed his password. He thought I understood. I had already clicked it on my phone, which is how I got infected, and then the next day it started at 3 a.m. So, I mean,
I'm
usually very careful, but he was my son. I didn't even think about it,
Well, yeah. He sends you a link, and you're like, oh, great. Now what does he fucking need for school?
Yep, exactly. So it's like, what does he want now? And it was funny because I normally, I'm very careful with what I click. But with him, so we had a talk. I was like, okay, next time, don't do that. But it's one of those things where now, it accentuates the need to be careful online. And
very much so. And on your own cell phones. They're not secure anymore. I like
no, they're not.
Real quick, Indigo, before we close the show, Indigo Jules in the chat said, funny story. I played ESO for 3 days and checked out Fallout 76 again, and probably used about 20 stim packs hitting H for my horse. Man, is there... Okay, I'm sorry. I know I said we were going to close. Is there anything worse than going from one MMO to another? Like,
no, and unless you
all
can
the
change
keys.
all the little keys to what you want and make it all the same, you make that kind of mistake all the time.
All the extra shit you use and waste.
I used up so many stim packs in the first week I played Fallout because of that exact reason. I kept trying to hit my horse.
And the real shit thing is going between Fallout and any other game is, for Fallout, escape doesn't do shit. It's tab to back out of stuff. So when you're pressing tab in your other games, there's no telling what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Or when you go back to Fallout and you're hitting escape like a reasonable, normal human being would to back out of your menus, and of course, nothing happens at all. Ever. I don't know what they were thinking with the controls on Fallout 76. It's really bad. So, all right. Well, before we close out, anybody else have anything to add? Any extra tidbits, advice, nuggets? Ooh, I want some chicken nuggets.
Don't click on links.
Don't click on links. That's a good one.
You don't know. God damn it.
I will say one little thing about the insecurities. I don't know what it is about age, but I know like my insecurities, the ones I had when I was younger, I don't have them as bad as what I have or like now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because I don't know if I just don't give a shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's like I've grown up and out of them, a lot of them. I still have a lot, like with my writing and stuff.
Right.
But I don't have like the ones when I was a kid and worried what people thought about me. Now I just don't. I mean, I still worry sometimes, but
if you actually care what they think is about the only time I worry.
They're a friend.
Now, yeah.
But if they're just somebody I don't know, I'm like,
no.
Oh well.
That's fair.
I'm good.
I used to be I used to be terrified of public speaking, and now we're doing it.
Well, but no, it just with age things change. So you always, it's something to look forward to as you get older. Some of those insecurities may get better.
Yeah, so what you're saying is you'll get rid of all your old insecurities and replace them with brand new shiny insecurities. Like, did I pay the bill? Are my kids alive? Did I leave the stove on when I left the house?
Am I going to be a good grandma?
Am I going to be a good grandma? Which the answer to that is, I don't know.
Yes.
Depends if the kid's any good. I mean, parents are probably going to be terrible.
I'm going to be a good grandma. You shut up.
You're going to be a great grandma. You own that, girl.
I am going to be. No, I'm going to be just a grandma, not a great grandma.
No, you're going to go.
But dum.
Got me on that one.
It's okay. You almost got me too. So.
You're so punny.
But no, I just wanted to add that little bit.
No, you're right. Yeah. And we do grow out of a lot of them, and we just replace them with other ones. As sad as that actually is, we just replace them with other worries and insecurities. Am I going to have enough food on the table? Am I going to learn? Is my idiot kid going to learn how to tie his shoes at the age of 45? I don't know. Maybe one of these days they'll figure it out, but not so far. Anybody else?
My 8-year-old still won't tie his shoes. He absolutely he knows how. He just won't.
See, and I still remember learning how to tie my shoes. And this is a very young memory. And at first, for some reason, I would watch them do it. And then when I would try to, I would just take the two strands separately. And then I would just twist them around each other like a braid. And then I'd let go like that was supposed to do something. I was not a fun kid to teach.
That's hilarious.
Didn't go over well. I was tested. It turned out there was nothing wrong with me. It's just how I was. So. Alrighty. Well, kick the music on here. Well, appreciate everybody tuning in.
Yes. Thank you for coming and joining us.
RPMMORadio, 87th episode, Insecurity Blankets. Appreciate everybody. We, of course, do it live, as I said, twitch.tv/RPMMORadio. If you want to join us during the week, talk to us, give us ideas for other shows, tell us funny stories about how you use 20 stim packs in Fallout 76. Whatever, rpmradio.com/Discord. Thank everybody for joining us. I, of course, want to thank my crew, Jazz, Sib, Yunfei, Rahadar, our call screener who had to bail out a little early because he's not feeling so good, but that's okay because we still love him. I, of course, am Ashton Phoenix, and I want you to tune in next time when we go over why halflings should be filled with insecurities, and they deserve every single one of them. Next time on RPMMO Radio, play on and keep the roleplay going. Music, as always, is provided by Husky by the Geek. Visit him at youtube.com/HuskyByTheGeek to hear all his great video game rock covers and original music.